Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Reds fan channel. I am your host, Stu. I'm joined this morning, very kindly, by Reese as well. And we are here to discuss all the weekend's news. And bloody hell, there's been a fair bit of news going around. But before we do anything, let's get the admin out of the way first. So don't forget to leave a like on the video if you are enjoying this content. Drop messages in the comments. Let's have a chat as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. We have pushed through some amazing amount of subs over the last couple of weeks, and I set the target personally as a bit of a joke, as a bit of a competition to say we wanted to get 1K subs before the first game against Bournemouth. We're heading in that direction. We're sitting at 908. So get on it, get subbing, and let's see if we can hit that target before the first game of the season. But as I say, I'm joined this morning very kindly by Reese. Reese, how are you doing, mate?
I'm good. I can't complain. Make sure we smash the like button, people. And yeah, make sure you get us up to 1,000, 1K, please, before the season starts. It'll be very much appreciated.
It's a big target, but it's definitely not unachievable. Let's get that done. So, right, okay, the weekend's news. There is quite a bit to go through. The biggest one, obviously, let's... So I just seen something pop up by Willem here. Oh, dear. And we also had a comment here. I didn't, Beefy, if you're still on, we didn't actually start till 10. I know you put this comment in about 20 minutes ago. I'll put it up now. Trying to stay calm. Everything is sounding promising, and that is what we're going to discuss first, because I believe this is a comment related to Alexander Isak. Now, over the weekend, obviously, there has been various reports, news snippets, Twitter journalists and all that dropping things about Isak. Obviously, Newcastle had a game on the weekend at Celtic. Isak got left at home, as has been stated by Eddie Howe in the interview, because of things going on in the background between Newcastle and Liverpool. It is looking more and more likely now, to me anyway, that Isak's head has been turned and that he does want to come to Liverpool. And now it is just down to the negotiations and the clubs being stubborn and all that sort of stuff. Reese, where do you think we are at the moment? Are you fully convinced that he is going to be a player by the end of the transfer window with Liverpool?
I'm not 100%. I do. I think Liverpool are in a strong position, because I think before this last 24 to 48 hours, I felt maybe Newcastle were in a stronger position. But the fact that he got left out of the friendly, and I know a lot of people could say, "Oh, it's pre-season, it's not a big deal," but it's not really about him being left out that I was looking at. It's more what Eddie Howe said. I think what he said, he handled that completely the wrong way. He could have made up a lie, but he kind of more said that his head's not in the right space, which basically more or less is saying he doesn't really want to be a Newcastle player. And obviously Liverpool, before wrapping up, which looks like the Ekitique deal, which is more or less done, were kind of targeting Isak, but obviously they tried to come with a strong stance to say he's not for sale and being stubborn and whatnot, which I understand. They didn't want to lose their best player, and then for me, Liverpool kind of done everything they could have done. They were just waiting to make a bid, but there's no point making a bid if Newcastle's owners are saying he's not for sale. The only way this could happen is if Isak forces the move, and obviously he hasn't come up publicly saying he wants to leave, but a lot of the noise in the background sounds like he doesn't want to be there. Obviously, it looks like Newcastle potentially look like they're trying to see if they can sell him to Saudi to save face, so they don't have to sell him to Liverpool. But he wants to go to Liverpool. So I think, like I said, if this is going to happen, he's going to have to force the move. For me, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We could come back for him next season, but that's not guaranteed, because say Ekitique has a sensational season and hits the ground running, Slot might see it as, we don't need Isak. Ekitique is ready now, kind of thing. So I think Isak's looking at it as it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to the Premier League champions, obviously the best team in England as well, the biggest team in England. You've got Wirtz there, you've got Kirkes there, you've got Frimpong, you've got Ekitique, you've still got other incomings potentially with Rodrigo and Mark Gay. For me, it's a no-brainer, and I think he's looking at it like, I have to get this move now. So obviously he hasn't come up publicly, but all the inklings and the kind of news behind the scenes, it sounds like he's telling them that he doesn't want to be at Newcastle for the following season. He wants to go to Liverpool. So yeah.
I'm in pretty much full agreement there. Looking at what CJ is saying here, big up. Welcome, CJ. Thank you for coming along. And concrete news. Well, nothing concrete as yet. Going off some of the news, it said, and he's right. bit suspicious if Isak went to Saudi, considering who their owners of Newcastle are. Now, I have a theory on that. I think the whole Saudi thing, the whole Saudi link, is just a smokescreen. I think it's to try and drive the price up a little bit and to try and trigger Liverpool into something, basically like a game of poker. Just trying to maneuver the pieces or maneuver the club into making a bigger bid, maybe. But I think the way I look at this, and I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans over the weekend on social media just absolutely lose their heads over this. But if I was a Newcastle fan, and actually I can speak from experience on this because half my family are Geordies, so half my family support Newcastle, and I can say to them, Isak is your Coutinho moment. Let's have a look at where Newcastle are sitting at the moment in the league. They're on the precipice of constantly qualifying for the Champions League. They just need more squad depth more than anything else. They need a few players, not one star player. That's what they need, and that's what they can get from this money. Just like we did with our money, getting in Van Dijk and Alisson when we saw Coutinho. That is what Newcastle could do, and that could project their club onto the next level. But I personally think they're looking at this all the wrong way. Football careers are short. We all know that. And Isak has got the chance, as you said, Reese, to come and join the biggest team and the biggest club in England, who are at the top at the moment, and we're going to stay at the top. Look at the signings that we've made and look at the signings that Newcastle have made. He's looking at that, probably thinking, okay, I'm coming into my prime now, and I need to be winning trophies to have a successful career. Where am I going to be able to do that? Okay, he won the Carabao Cup in Newcastle, but realistically, are they going to win the league in the next couple of seasons? No. Are they going to win the Champions League in the next 5 years? No. Maybe another domestic trophy, but which club does stand the best chance of doing that? That's Liverpool, and that's not flexing or anything like that, or whatever the people want to call it. That's just the facts. Liverpool are in a better position than Newcastle right at this point in time. There's no two ways about it, and it's understandable that Isak wants to come to a club that's going to be successful, but Newcastle can use this to their advantage as well. So, yeah, I understand them losing their heads over it, so to speak, but I think in all reality at the moment, the best for both worlds is Isak coming to Liverpool, Newcastle get the money, sorts out their PSR issues, and then they can build on from there. That's the way I look at it anyway. CJ's coming in with another comment saying, my dad's a Newcastle fan and he would rather keep Isak, but if he went, then they can rebuild for the Champions League. Exactly. Newcastle are not in a strong point when it comes to squad depth. They are going to struggle this year, and if they don't improve on that, they won't get Champions League football next season because of other teams around them that are improving, the likes of Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal. Do you really think you've got a squad big enough to cope with Champions League football and domestic football and oust them? I don't think so. Looks like Damo's in the chat as well. Don't forget to hit the like button. It's helping us out massively. How confident? Well, as I say, I'm about 95% confident. I'm never 100% confident when it comes to these sort of things. I'd say 95% Isak will be a Liverpool striker come the end of the transfer window. LFC 6X, Al Hilal or Liverpool? Well, it's a no-brainer for me. It's got to be Liverpool. He's too young in his career to go to Saudi as well. It'd be a waste of his talent. Look what happened. Look, exactly. Here's a prime example. Look at what has happened to John Duran. Sold by Villa last season, went out there and has now immediately been loaned out to Fenerbahce because he's not settling. That's exactly what will happen to Isak as well, and it'll be a waste. So it's a difficult one. Looks like a couple of comments are saying what's his agent saying? Well, I think his agent's actually got a lot to do with this. I think his agent is the one that's pushing this more and more from what I've read. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen anything on that, Reese.
I see something there. Yeah, it makes more sense. The agent is going to be the one who has to push it because Isak's going to go through him. But I think, obviously, I think that was something that came up on Twitter to do with a Saudi link or something, but he was kind of talking in riddles in terms of like to say they're trying to sort something out, but they're not going to give away too much detail. But I think It's more just about trying to get him to move away. I think the plan is to try and get him to go to Liverpool, but obviously if the Liverpool one don't materialise, I think they're just trying to get him out of Newcastle from what it looks like. And worst come to worst, maybe next season Liverpool come back for him. But like I said, I think for me it's this season, or it was it's highly unlikely for me personally.
LFC 6X has actually just found the quote, as I've just found it at the very same time. We're indeed studying and analysing all options, and we may be close to finalising the next step for the player. Me personally, I think that says that they're expecting a bid from Liverpool very, very soon. I don't think there's going to be any issues over contract or anything like that. I think that'll be done very, very quickly. It all comes down to the money that's going between the two clubs more than anything else. And again, look, going off a few of the things that Indy has dropped on Twitter over the last sort of 24 hours, basically saying that Newcastle did offer Isak a contract and has been in place for the last month or so, and he's refused to sign it. Little bits of fallout from the Celtic game as well. Everything is adding up, for me anyway, that he is heading in our direction more than anything else. But like we say, we can't be 100% certain on this because football is just football at the end of the day, and unpredictable things can happen as well. That's the way I look at it. Let's keep our options open, so to speak. Just having a look at another little bit of news as well. Just coming through, James McConnell looks like he's going to be getting a long-term contract at the club as well. Youngster who's actually fancied, from what I've heard. Onslaught likes him quite a lot. Getting offered a new long-term contract. Engamo is going to get a new long-term contract as well. Trey Naoni signed one last season. It's looking good from our youngster aspect as well. Wouldn't you agree? So there's a few youngsters coming through who I think could actually make a bit more of an impact this season.
No, 100%. The two I'm looking at that I do think will feature and play a part in the squad this season, probably more like the cup competitions, is Trey Naoni and Rio.
Yeah,
I mean, those are the two. And obviously Rio scored the other day in the behind closed game with Stoke. He scored a goal yesterday, so he played really well from the sound of things. So those are the two who I'm looking at. McConnelly I rate as well. I think that's good that he signed a new contract. I wasn't expecting it. Not that I don't rate him. I just thought maybe he might be too far behind the pecking order. But obviously, Slot has maybe seen something else. So I'm happy for him because I do rate him. I think he's a talented player.
That's very true. And obviously, speaking of other players that obviously the squad are in or on their way out to Hong Kong, I think it is first, and then they go on to Japan. Obviously, a couple of players got left behind. Yesterday, Jaden Dans being one, Bajcetic was another, but I believe that's because of their long-term injuries / rehab. So they're obviously just building up the fitness. And it looks like Chiesa is on his way out as well because he didn't travel with the squad. So it looks like Chiesa is the one that's going to be leaving very, very soon. But also, as CJ has just put here as well, funny how Chiesa wasn't on the plane, but Diaz was. Again, things can change quickly in football. He could be on another plane back in 24 hours. We just don't know. But the fact that Diaz has gone out with the squad is reasonably telling that the club's standpoint is that we don't want to get rid of Diaz. We have set an asking price. If that asking price is met, then he can go. But if Bayern Munich are being stingy, then sorry, mate, but you're staying at the end of the day, playing hardball. Kevin McLaughlin, thank you very much for the comment. If he doesn't go to Liverpool this summer, we're talking about Isak here. Yeah, again, that is a definite option as well. If he doesn't come to Liverpool this year, there is every chance that we get him next summer and at a cheaper price as well, because that's another year off his contract. So if Newcastle want to play hardball, Liverpool will play that ball even harder, and we will just wait. We will just wait at the end of the day. So it's worth waiting for, I think, because I think bringing Ekitique in for the price that we have puts a lot of pressure on him. But obviously, okay, going on to the Ekitique side of things. Mm-hmm. I've said it before, so I'm quite happy to give the player a chance. He's still a young player. He's still building up. There are a lot of similarities in how he plays compared to Isak. The way his career trajectory has gone, a lot of similarities again. Do you think, Reece, do you think Ekitike overall in the long term will be a successful signing?
I do think he will be. Obviously, for a long time, I kind of more looked at it as underwhelming because I think he's a talented player. I just don't think where Isak's ready now, he's kind of at the top of the food chain in terms of where he's at in terms of his development. I think he's still maybe not that far behind, a few years behind, but it's understandable because of his age. But I've been watching a few comps and I've been watching a few. I did see a few games of him last season.
He's got the skills.
No, he's very impressive, especially for someone his height, his technique, the way he controls the ball, his final pass. You know, when he gets the ball to release someone else in. I've seen similarities with Bobby Firmino. I'm not saying he's Bobby, but I'm saying he's similar in terms of what I think Slot's going to ask him to do. It's not just to score goals. It's kind of going to be the linksman between the rest of the front three, whether it's Salah, whether it's Diaz or Rodrigo if he comes in, and obviously Wirtz who's playing in the 10, or sometimes there was a lot. So I don't think it's just going to be to get goals. Whereas I think with Isak, I think it's mainly going to be to get goals, even though he could probably do the link up. I just think he's more at a higher stage than Ekitike. So I think long term, like I said, if you get both of them, I think Liverpool's kind of very healthy in that department. You won't really need to get a striker for me. At minimum, the next 5 or 6 years, I think you're kind of secure in that position.
Before we go any further on this, I do like to call out the occasional troll that may show up in the comments. This geezer, Osama bin Galant. Well, thank you very much for calling me and Reece 2 lying fake plastic fans. I shall say this only once. Get off the channel. Go on. Off you go. Don't care. Do not care what you think about us, but I don't like comments like that in the chat. So go on. Off you fuck. Right. So back onto the Ekitike and Isak side of things. Ekitike. Long term, I actually, just before I compared him to what Isak was like when, say, Isak was at Sociedad. Their framework and everything, their build is very, very similar as well. Both of them have a very similar skill set as well. And I personally think like so the data department and all that see Ekitike as Isak 3 years ago. So we're bringing Isak this season. He'd get a few good seasons out of him, and Ekitike can learn from him. That's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, obviously, people in the chat and all that, you can agree with me or not. That's the way I'm looking at it. Ekitike is probably going to be an understudy for Isak or something of that like. Quickly going through some more of the comments before we carry on. DB, more and all, please remember to like the video on your way in and subscribe if you're new. Thank you very much for the shout out, DB. CJ, as long as Ekitike is better than Nunes, it's all good. Well, Nunes scored a hat-trick yesterday. I mean, take that as you will. Phil Blanchard, imagine the meltdown if the deal is done. Can you ever prepare for the copium? Well, yeah, there is going to be a lot of head explosions going on. CJ again, people were saying Gyökeres, the Brighton reject, is better than Isak all of a sudden. Yeah, okay, I think that may be just a bit of cope. Personally, I like Gyökeres. I like him as a striker. I really do. But he's going to Arsenal, I think. Fireburn. Welcome back onto the chat. Meltdown will happen. Newcastle can't spin it anymore. Even their fans think now. Well, that's true. And there are a couple of Twitter channels out there who are still completely in denial about it. Another comment from Phil. Haters going to hate. You know you're doing something right when you get knobheads trolling. That's very true. That is very true. Blimey, the comments are coming in thick and fast here. Right, Minty. Do you think that if we bought Isak and sell Diaz, do you think we could play Ekitike on the left wing? I don't think that's the plan. Going off again, Minty, I'll come to this now. Only an hour ago, the main man, Indy, on Twitter, put out a report saying that Liverpool is likely to replace Luis Diaz once that deal is done with Rodrigo. That is the most likely explanation or the likely transfer that's going to happen. So just adding on top of that, Rodrigo, on top of Isak, on top of Wirtz, on top of Ekitike, Frimpong, Kirkes, and potentially Gahey as well. Man alive. This transfer window is bloody mental, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you read any of the tweets and you see from Mo Chakra? Have you read any of those
I haven't
tweets?
seen that one, actually.
And he's breaking down how Liverpool are able to, because he's in, I think his job, he's in finance. So he kind of breaks down how Liverpool are doing this and how Liverpool are not breaking any rules and how FFG have kind of been the reason all these years they haven't spent as much is to be in a position like this. So every couple of years, they can just do one clean swoop of kind of buying who, like kind of killing the market, kind of taking over.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, when you get time, check his because I was reading that yesterday. It was very interesting. It's breaking it down in detail, the ingoings, the outgoings, how Liverpool are not breaking the PSR rules, and how obviously rival fans are freaking out, thinking how are we spending all this money, and kind of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm over the moon. Like I said at the start of the window, it was a bit surreal, but to me, I've kind of, like I said, I'm just kind of used to it this window now. It just seems like Liverpool.
It feels like as fans we're settling into our throne.
Yes. What we should have done, this is what should have happened, obviously, when we were trying to retain it that season with Klopp, but obviously the owners weren't really trying to spend like that. So, but yeah, over the moon, I'm very confident that I think we're going to retain the league. It's just a question of what other trophies we win.
Yeah,
with the league for me, you know what I mean.
Fireburn's asking a question. One big question: when Liverpool go for Isak, will they pull the plug on Ekitique? That is not the plan. That is not the plan from what I've seen all over Twitter. The plan is to get both.
The plan's to get both, yeah.
Which again in itself is utterly mental. I'll come to you in a second. How reliable is Indy? Literally, me and Reese were discussing this off air before we came on live. Indy for me is probably one of the most reliable outlets on Twitter at the moment. I don't think I've seen him hit a bad report in the last year. So I won't say take it to the bank, but I'd say he's well up there as in the top 3 most reliable at the moment, which is mental because nobody has any idea who this guy is. Remember when Newcastle fans were telling us they played us and we'll end up with both. Well, yeah, it's going to be more fool them at the end of the day.
That was more copium, I think, to be honest.
I think so. There's some smacks of Houghton, Beardsley, Barnes, and Aldo. Phil, you're going back a bit there. Some of the younger viewers may not even realise that, but that is definitely around my time. And yeah, it obviously not in finance, but in stature, that is definitely a comparable summer transfer window without a doubt. Let's see, CJ, what else you got for us? 6 times everything he says, take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah, okay, he does overindulge a little bit. I'll give you that. Let's see. How has been negotiating contracts in the absence? Has he really? I did not know that. Kevin McLaughlin, is that legit? How has been negotiating the contracts since the DOF left? That's not good. Having managers negotiate contracts when your director of football isn't doing it is not good. It's not good for the squad. It's not good for the players. Yeah, I'd say so. Ekitike. Jota replacement. Rest in peace, Jota. I think he's a very good replacement actually for him. And again, speaking of replacements, now we go into this week of not only the Isak thing coming in, but the Diaz saga. Now, I believe the club has set the asking price at 80 million euros. I think it was 85.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich's last offer was around about 60, I think, if I remember rightly.
I think wasn't it 100 million euros Liverpool was asking for, which is around 80 to 85 million.
Yeah, I may have the euros and pounds mixed up a little bit. But I mean, it's a hell of a price tag, and obviously Liverpool have put that price tag on him because they don't particularly want to sell him. But like I've always said, every player has their price at the end of the day, and if he does end up going to Bayern Munich, which I think is probably going to be more and more likely, again, looking at the comments over social media over the last week, it's looking more and more likely that he's looking for a new challenge, which, okay, fair enough. If you're looking for a new challenge and you want to go and try something different, by all means. but we still need that money. And I think Bayern are being very, very stingy at the moment. We know they've got the money. There's no way they can hide the fact that they haven't got the money, seeing as they were prepared to pay the same price for Wirtz that we did.
You know what it is? I think they're still in their feelings that they lost the battle with us. When
they're all bitter inside, like
they don't want to get their pants pulled down. You know what I mean, so to speak. But for me, they need Diaz because obviously Musiala's got he picked up quite a serious injury, so he's probably going to be out for most of the season. You've got Sane there, but for me, he's not what he was. He's definitely like past his peak. He's not the same for me, Sane, that he was when he was at City. I know when he came there, he's done all right for them, but he's never been able to replicate like the highs that he kind of had at City. So for me, they need Diaz for me. Otherwise, who you gonna get if they don't get Diaz? I've heard links with Fofana. Obviously, he's a good young talent, but he's a young player, so he's still going to need transition. He's still going to need a lot of development. You know what I mean?
I think that's what Bayern are looking for. They're looking for somebody who's ready. They're not looking for a project winger. They're looking for somebody who can come in and make like an instant impact. Again, the players like Fofana, they're good, but they still got a lot of time to grow. And Diaz is ready.
I think the Diaz on what will happen, even if Liverpool lower their price by about 5 million, around 5 or 10 million, but I'll say no more than 5 million. I still think happens. I think it will be around 70 to 75. That's what I think it will be.
Oh, but actually, I didn't realize this. Sane's left to Galatasaray.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. They need Diaz. It's not a question of like they're floating around for options. So Liverpool know you've got the money there because you were willing to spend close to 100 million euros for Wirtz. So don't try to act stingy and act like you're going to try and shortchange Liverpool.
No.
We're the team like right now. So no one's shortchanging us. You kind of got to, yeah, I mean, you got to kind of.
Exactly. Don't try and shortchange us. We know that the money's there. Plus, you've had a couple of players leave. You've had your wage structure freed up. You know that we knew you had the money there for the Wirtz deal until we got that one done. So don't be stingy. If we've set an asking price, that's the asking price. But 3 minutes ago on Twitter, Romano put out saying that Bayern are actually going to put in a new bid today by the looks of it. And it's going to be a bigger bid to see if they can tempt us into selling.
Better be something that we can take serious. No foolishness over here, Bayern. Please, we're not entertaining that. No foolishness.
True, that's very true. And then obviously the replacement most likely is going to be Rodrigo. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen up and down news. Let's see. CJ, Rodrigo would not be a good idea as it was confirmed that he is in love with Madrid. But at the end of the day, you could be in love with something and still miss out on it and still have to move on because Rodrigo is an extremely talented player. His statistics over the last couple of seasons are incredible. But he has Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. in front of him in the positions that he likes.
I love Rodrigo. For me, like I said, if you look at when he's been at Real Madrid, especially under Carlo Ancelotti, obviously Alonso's manager now, he was never more than a bench player. He was never more than an impact player. So even though he loves Real Madrid, I don't think they see him in terms of the same way, the managers. And I think maybe it might even be the same with Alonso. I think they rate him as a talented player, but they rate him as a player to be part of the squad. So for me, you're going to stay somewhere where you're only ever going to be a squad player, kind of on the outside coming in, or do you want to come to Liverpool where you could be first team? You could create history here. You could become something. Legacy here in terms of what we're trying to do. Because our fans, once we sign a player and you're a talented player and you give 100%, we get right behind you. So for me, like I said, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, it's entirely up to him. But for me, I know what I would be doing if I was in his position. For me,
no, that's a fair one. That's a fair one. Fireburn's coming out with a one. Isak was in love with Newcastle, and now look what's happened. Well, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. And Emma said it's a shame because he has everything it takes to be a top forward, apart from that killer instinct. Yeah, I mean, I think killer instincts either is something that you're born with, or it could be trained into you one or two ways. I trust in our coaching staff and trust in Slot enough now that they'll get the best out of, especially the younger players that are coming in. And we're definitely sticking with this model of, I think it's like under 26s being brought in fresh and ready. And the squad is looking immense for this season already. And that's even without like sort of the likes of Tyler Morton leaving, Harvey Elliott leaving, Nunes leaving, Chiesa, and potentially Diaz. That's 5 players that are still could be on their way out. The only thing that I worry about with Rodrigo is obviously his position is the same position as Gakpo. So he comes in and obviously he's rotated with Gakpo just the way Diaz and Gakpo were last season. I want to see more of Engamoa. I think he could be the understudy to Gakpo this season. Would the arrival of Rodrigo hamper his development a little bit? What do you think on that? Reece, do you think that would actually happen? Would that hamper his development?
Who's that for, Rodrigo?
No, for Engamoa. Because Engamoa, I think Engamoa.
People got to remember he is only 17.
Yeah.
For me, he's still got a long way. And even though Liverpool are kind of fast tracking him a bit, I think it's more to be a part of the squad. It's not to fast track him as in he's going to be playing week out. You don't want to put that level of expectation on such a young player because he's got so much potential, such a high ceiling. I don't think that's gonna stop him.
I don't want another Michael Owen situation where obviously bursts onto the scene and then by the time he's 21 completely burns out. I think doing it the right way, which is what we are, just bring him into the first team squad fold. He may even get a loan this season, potentially. That is something that could happen. Get a bit of first team football in one of the lower leagues.
I see him alone maybe next season. I do think Liverpool will keep him to be part of the squad just to have him there for cup competitions, just in case worst come to worst. If you did get certain injuries and he had to come in, I think he will be in around the squad this season. And depending how he does, like I said, the more he carries on doing really well, then I could probably see a loan maybe next season where they fast track him to maybe either a championship team or even a Premier League team, but a more mid-table team if his development really steps up this season coming.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. I think we saw the goal that he scored. Or if you haven't seen the goal, go check out the highlights on the Liverpool YouTube channel from yesterday's close behind doors friendly with Stoke. He finished that very well. The 45 minutes that I saw he play against Preston, he played very well. And then obviously the couple of cameos he made last year, he looked electric there. I think we got an absolute world superstar winger, but I don't want to put too much pressure on the lad. But I do think he's got that ceiling. It certainly looks that way. But again, we could trust in the club to do the right thing and just gradually build him up. I think you're right. He'll stay around the squad maybe for this entire season. Get a few games, maybe in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, maybe even a league game here or there. And then next season, they'll review it and go, okay, you need to go out for an entire season to a championship club where you're going to get first team football constantly, week in, week out, and build up your game from there. That's probably the most logical career path for him at the moment. Would you agree with that, I'd say?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also he needs to get used to men's football because if you look at him, obviously he's in quite good shape himself anyway, like physically. But you could see, like I said, technically in terms of like dribbling and whatnot, he's on another level. It's just for me kind of polishing off that end product, and I think part of that will come from more games, more exposure, whether that's with the first team, with us in some of the cup competitions, or whether he ends up going out on loan like the following season. He just gets used to the physicality of men's football, and then he'll kind of improve when it comes to the end product. Because for me, once he improves the end product, you've got a serious player on your hands there. Because the end product for me right now is probably like a 2-3 out of 10.
Yeah.
What if he's able to get that up to like, and he's got time on his side because he's only 17. If he's able to get that up to around a 6 or 7 out of 10, you're laughing. Because for me, dribbling is like a 10, even more past a 10. Take on, and obviously I know that I think they've got. I see some stuff on Twitter. They've got some cameos there of him, kind of twining Trent and that, and a lot of people have been asking to kind of put those out. So it will be interesting. I see him do a little something with Gravenberch the other day. So he's definitely a talented player. It's just kind of getting that end product for me.
Getting that bit, just getting that bit. That's all. That's all we need. But you say that will come in time. That will come in time. Just looking through the comments here, Kevin saying, I don't think Rodrigo comes in. We'll use Wirtz on the left again. I mean, that is an option. Wirtz can play off the left. Zob can obviously play behind the striker as well. Again, there is the option if we do get Isak in as well. Ekitike can play in that 10 position behind Isak. There's a lot of rotational options now, which is even better from our aspect, that people could be so flexible to go into whatever position is needed. And that is definitely to our advantage. Fireburn saying, Wirtz yesterday in the friendly against Stoke made football look so easy. I've only seen, obviously, a couple of highlights. But yes, he did look pretty comfortable already, to say the least. Demo is... Oh, hang on. Get that back up there. Again, yes, thank you everyone for joining us this morning. If you, don't forget to leave a like, sub to the channel as well. Derek, what are you saying? Nunes, the only guy in the Prem to hit the work 4 times in the same game. But for a couple of inches, it might as well have been something else to say about the guy. Yeah, fine margins. Fine margins is what it comes down to at the end of the day. But again, the problem with Nunes was always his composure. His composure wasn't good enough for an out-and-out striker. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And we've just had something come up on Twitter. Apparently, there is some news of maybe about Liverpool coming out at 11 o'clock. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Use the source there.
Well, it's come up through one of the other Twitter channels. It's actually pretty decent. Max LFC. He's shared something from another Liverpool site called Cop Connection saying 11 a.m. news is coming. What news that will be, nobody knows. But we could probably take a guess that it's either going to involve Rodrigo, Diaz, or Isak. That's the most likely explanation. But on that note, we've hit nearly 40 minutes on this one, so I think that will do for us for this morning. That's pretty much all the weekend news covered. It's all the big news covered anyway. Obviously, other little snippets will come out here and there. Ooh, Fireburn's getting excited already. Official bid for Isak. Yeah, 120 million. God, I'll laugh if that's actually happened. And yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We had at one point over 200 viewers, so that's even better. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. Again, as you say, subscribe to the channel if you're not subbed already. These daily reports are going to be coming more than likely every morning and every evening. Now, that is the content we're trying
Sorry to interrupt you, Stu. It says there, check your messages there from Dame, I think. Isak, I think so.
Okay, let's have a little look at this. What's happening here? Sorry, my screen's just gone all funny as I try to move something. Okay, so according to Luke Edwards Telly, who is a Northern football journalist, a BBC podcaster, and I believe he's a Newcastle fan as well. Alexander Isak has been unsettled after being promised a new contract by former co-owner Amanda Staveley back in 2024, before ex-sporting director Paul Mitchell opted not to open talks. This led to acrimony, and Isak's agent felt insulted. Now, okay, before we go, I'll try and break that down a little bit. Amanda Staveley, former joint owner, whatever you want to call her, of the club, promised him a contract. A new sporting director comes in. He's your star striker, and he doesn't offer him a new contract. To me, that doesn't make sense. That really doesn't make sense to me. He's your star striker. Why would you not offer him a new contract? I'm not entirely sure whether to take that as legit or not. I mean, the journalist himself who's put this out is a pretty reliable source by all accounts. So, Reese, what do you think of that?
Oh. I think obviously I'm not sure how true that is. Kind of want to know a bit more details, but if that's the case, you can't really treat your star player like that. And if that is true, you can understand even more so why he wants to leave. Obviously, he's got ambitions to go to a bigger club and win, but the fact you weren't really treating him, like I said, with the respect that you kind of was supposed to be getting, considering he's your best player, that's kind of like bad. I mean, that's bad business. You don't kind of do that kind of thing. So if it is true, it makes even more sense why he wants to leave.
I mean, yeah, it would add up if it is true. But it just, I don't know. I mean, you've also got to trust your sources in this. And as I say, he's a legit journalist who writes for mainstream media. So I would hope that he's done his due diligence and got all this right. And if that is true, it is bonkers. It makes no sense to me whatsoever why you wouldn't offer him a contract unless you've already been told that you don't want to stay. That is the only reason that I can think of. And that's probably the most likely explanation as well, I would have thought. But let's see what happens at 11 o'clock. Let's see if we do actually put a bid in and this tempts us into putting that mega bid in and we get this all sorted and maybe get him out for the Asia tour. You never know. You never know. We all live in a dream world here, and at the moment, the dream is being fulfilled by Liverpool and just having this absolutely amazing transfer window. But like I said, we're over the 40-minute mark now that we've covered that little bit of news. Keep an eye on social media after 11 o'clock to see what happens. Guys, thank you very much for watching this. As I said before, we are doing morning and evening or early evening streams every single day, covering all the news all the way up to through the transfer window up to the start of the season. And then once the season starts, it's just going to continue even more. Make sure you leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subbed already. Thank you, everybody in the chat as well, for communicating. And thank you very much for Reese for joining me this morning. Very much appreciated again, mate. And we will leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.